I'd like to greet all human beings all around the world with a universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor religious beliefs may be. It doesn't matter if you the richest to the poorest or homeless person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you are the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're dark-skinned or light-skinned. I greet you all with the same universal greeting of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Tonight, or this evening, is September the 5th, 2019. It's Thursday. Some people call it Throwback Thursday, but it's Thursday, and it's about 7:11 p.m. Today, I just want to touch on a few things. First, I'm going to say, anybody that don't like my YouTube videos, and if it bothers you so much that you have to be disrespectful, you know, a suggestion, just a suggestion. If you have to be so disrespectful, and if you don't like my videos, don't watch it. If somebody forcing you by gunpoint or any other means, if you get chance, dial your local law enforcement officials. You see what I'm saying? And let them know somebody forcing you to watch Raymond Lewis Ivy YouTube channel. You don't let them know you don't like him and you don't like what he stands for. You know, anybody that don't like what I stand for, that's their prerogative. They have a right to not like what I stand for. And anybody know me, I stand against racism. I don't care what nationality is doing it. And I stand against injustice. And I also stand up for me and my family in any dwelling that we live in. But I just want to touch on something today, being in September. A lot of people is going to be focusing on one particular incident in September. And, you know, to each his own. And that's September the 11th. What happened September the 11th, 2001 in New York with the World Trade Center. When planes hit them and a lot of people died. A lot of rescuers caught cancer and lost their lives. And I still today pray for all of those that lost their lives, their families, their friends. And I pray that all the first responders, because I was often to first responder. You know, an EMT and a first responder, all is the same thing. But I know the feeling going into a place that's dangerous to save somebody else's life. But I just want to say September the 11th, 2001 is not really one of the only, I would call, some people call it tragedies. You see what I'm saying? To me, a tragedy is when a person loses their life and they don't have God in their life. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody is going to leave one day. I wouldn't want to leave that way, but you know, whatever way God had me to leave, if it's doing one of my YouTube videos and somebody don't like me so much that they take my life, so be it. But they can't take nothing that God don't allow them to take. But let me take you back some more years. September 11, I believe, was what? Almost 2001 is about 18 years, almost 18 years ago. In a few days, in 6 more days, it'll be 18 years ago. But let me take you back to 62 years ago in 1957. When President Dwight Eisenhower had to use his power as president because the then governor of Little Rock, Arkansas, down in Little Rock, he got the state National Guard to block 8 blacks to be able to enter into a segregated school when the law had changed. This is a governor now That should show y'all why I go up against some of the judges and some of the law enforcement officials here in Charleston, Missouri, is because just because they're in those positions, that don't mean they won't violate the law. Here it is, the Dwight Eisenhower had to step on this governor's neck. See, the governor had power over the state and national guard, but the president of the United States has the power to send the United States troops, and that's what he did. He sent the United States 101 airborne military troops to Little Rock, Arkansas. It was about 1,000 of them, and federal marshals to escort these 8 blacks into Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now see, that's a shame that an individual supposed to be the governor of a big state like Arkansas, stretching all the way from Osceola or Blytheville, all the way to Texarkana, right before you get into Texas. But see, you ain't gonna really see people talking about that. It ain't ended. You see what I'm saying? But let's go again. Let's go into 1962. 57 years ago in September, when John F. Kennedy, may he rest in peace, and Dwight Eisenhower rest in peace, had to send his then brother, may he rest in peace, Robert Kennedy, who was the Attorney General of the United States, he had to send him to Mississippi. You see what I'm saying? To activate the National Guard, to get a civil rights activist, defend them, and march him into the University of Mississippi because they wouldn't allow him to go in there, and the law said he could. So the 2 presidents had to activate it, and the presidents was white, and these governors and these law enforcement officials that was refusing to let these people into these schools, they was white. But you see, we can go here to Charleston, Missouri. You see what I'm saying? Where you ain't gonna see none of these leaders, NAACP, present or past, talk about. You ain't gonna even hear them talk about it during Black History. You sure ain't gonna see them talk about it 700 Elm Street or Cy Williams Street. You know why? Because they in cohesion with these individuals that's running this town illegally. But let me tell you, it took a family. Miss Annie Davis, I got a chance to meet her. Her daughter, Barbara Davis, I got a chance to meet her. And her son, Johnny Davis. When all of the blacks was forced to go to the Lincoln School, which is better known now as the C.F. Bowen Center here in Charleston, Missouri, where these blacks run a lot of programs and make millions of dollars and don't do very much for the black community. They get their money, but they do nothing for the black community. But let me tell you, it took Annie Davis, it took Barbara Davis, Annie Davis's daughter, Barbara, and Johnny Davis to file a lawsuit. And all you got to do is look it up. Look up Davis versus the Board of Education, Charleston, Missouri Consolidated School number 7. And you will see it for yourself that they had to file a federal lawsuit to get them to be able to go to what's now the Charleston R1 school district. So, you know, what you got to do is, those that don't like what I'm saying, see, I try to educate people. That's what my YouTube about. My YouTube videos is not about fighting or showing my kids or me and my kids fighting in the streets. Mine is not trying to shoot nobody because of what they doing to me. You see, or saying about me. I mean, I do mention if you come to try to harm me, what I'm going to do. I will protect myself. But look up these things that I'm telling y'all about. And then, you know, some of my critics, they say I'm crazy. All I like to do is talk. But that's what they do. They talk. But my talking is educating people. Look up those things that I just told you about. It's still happening in certain places. You see what I'm saying? It takes sometimes, it takes you to be continued. Look at Eric Gardner in New York. Look what his daughter had to do when they found the police not guilty of killing him because he was selling loose cigarettes. Choked him to death. It took him 5 years to make him lose his job. Look at David Robinson right here in southeast Missouri in the Boot Hill in Sykes, Missouri. Spent 18 years in the penitentiary on a murder that he didn't do because a detective made a false report and got him convicted. And he did 18 years, but he was consistent in showing that he didn't commit this murder. And guess what? A Supreme Court justice overturned it. Now, that particular police got fired. The city of Sykes, Missouri, and that police detective, they being sued. You know why? Because David Robinson, Eric Gardner, and many other people was consistent in getting their civil rights taken care of, making sure that they stood on what they knew what was right. But like I said, my critics, they say that some of my critics, they say that I'm crazy. But let me tell you one thing about one of my critics that used a couple of names. First, they called me a chump, talking about kicking me off my roof. Then they see me at one of my cousins' homegoing, or one of my YouTubes with one of my cousins' homegoing in East St. Louis, Missouri. And then they say, I see you, OG. Now what is I'm OG, or I'm a chump, punk? What am I? I'm gonna tell you what I am. I'm something that you afraid of being. You afraid of standing up against these white supremacists, and you afraid to set out these blacks that's using other blacks. But I'm not afraid of it. You said I look for something to talk about. I'm educating. Now you and them blacks attack me. Make a YouTube video or march down the street and do something besides talking about gang banging, drug dealing, calling out women the bees and the whores, and talking about shooting and killing each other. Because this is what I'm about. Peace, be still.